Whoa, let me get this right. So I actually have a real job to make most of the money that I make. I actually go to an office for 8 hours a day and do business stuff and make money. Not just the 5 side hustles that I've mentioned before. I actually make money for a living with a full-time job. So that whole thing about Slick Nick, that's really me in an office, in a building, walking around during a break in an elevator, shooting these videos, working a real respectable job, and then doing those little parody of myself videos. Is that right? Yes, it is. And I think it's important that I show you a different perspective of me. Because I make, what, 2 or 3 videos a day about hair loss that I put out there for you to be able to watch. And I'm also working a full-time job. So let's just get this right. And I know that I've made that other video, and I should probably put a link to it in the description here so you can check it out. But there's a video where back in January, I shared exactly how much money I'm making through my 5 side hustles. YouTube channel number 1, which is this one, my other YouTube channel, Family Friendly Daddy Blog, my actual blog, Family Friendly Daddy Blog, the Amazon links that I put in my videos and blog posts, and then my side job doing SEO for a major university here in the city that I live. So those are my 5 side hustles. That's how I make thousands of dollars. In fact, I'm going to be vulnerable with you here. Coming up this weekend, my wife and I are going to do our taxes at H.R. Block, and we're both a little bit nervous because I've made so much money on the side, which, you know, is not taxed. So if we didn't do everything right, we might have to owe the government money. So I'm a little bit nervous about that because, you know, what I do for a living, they take the tax out of my paycheck. But when I'm getting all these side revenues, it's not taxed. So, you know, we usually get thousands of dollars back from the government from our income taxes. But with all the side jobs in 2018, I'd almost just be happy to break even and not have to pay the government anything. That's how much money that I made last year on the side. Now let's talk about what I actually do for a living. Because I don't think most people have a clue what I do for a living. Right now in your mind, oh, you know what would be fun? I wasn't planning this for this. This would be fun. Right now, take a moment in the comments and guess what I do for a living. Just pause the video or whatever you need to do just to be able to type and leave a comment before hearing what I'm about to say. Go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so you got it done? You guess what you think I do for a living? Got that in there? Because that's going to be a lot of fun to see everyone's guesses that don't already know. So ultimately, I am in HR. Are you familiar with what if I were to say onboarding? So like I do hiring and onboarding, recruiting. So what I'm doing is all across the United States, there are jobs that need to be filled. And it's in a very specific industry that's very crucial to America functioning the way it does. And just imagining anytime something from a factory is built, it's still got to get distributed all across America. So my job is to fill those positions to make sure all those people can get all the stuff sent everywhere so it can end up at Target or wherever it is, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm filling those positions. I'm doing advertising. I'm setting up interviews. I'm doing the whole HR process. I'm sending out like offer letters and all the legal stuff you have to do, making sure they've got all the stuff about the benefits and insurance and all of that, and then making sure they actually start their job. So that's what I'm doing all day long. Like, let's say it's somewhere I'm supposed to hire like 15 people per month. So that's what I know. That sounds like a random job, but it's a very well-paying job, and it's a job that's actually very much in demand. And for someone who has an English degree like me, it actually works very well. Even though you think, well, shouldn't you be an English teacher? If I was an English teacher, I don't think I'd make half the money I make now at the job that I make. What I do for a living is very challenging, and most people would hate what I do for a living. But somehow, I guess I'm good at it, And it's really what I've done my whole career ultimately. Since I've been out of college, this is what I've done. I graduated with an English degree, and then, oh, here's a place that'll hire me, and worked there for a dozen years. And then when they closed down, I found another place that hired me last April, and they pay me a lot more money. It's a lot better of a situation to do. So I kind of paid my dues. And then once I did, I suddenly had well over a decade of experience doing this. It's high in demand. So HR, but specifically the recruiting side of that is what I do. That's how I make money. And while I make great money on that, and I have all these side revenue, the funny thing is my wife makes more money than I do at her full-time job. She works for a major university, and she makes a lot more money. And it's pretty much always been that way. Now, granted, she has a master's degree, whereas I don't. But she's always, anytime I finally get a pay increase, she gets one that's like a lot bigger. And I'm happy about that. It's not like, oh no, my wife makes more money. Now, granted, by the time you compare, if we were to look at all my side hustles and add them on top of what I make in my full-time job, and then compare it to my wife, then that's where it kind of gets, all right, well, maybe we, in theory, make about the same amount. It could go either way depending on the year. And, but as long as I continue to make more money off my side hustles, especially my YouTube channels, there's a good chance I could possibly beat her this year, but she'll probably just get another raise and lap me in 2020. So it's a good problem to have. But that's what I actually do for a living. So something you've heard me say in these 7 minutes so far, you've heard things I actually value. It's so easy to get caught up in the entertainment aspect of this, that I'm a guy who's obsessed with hair loss, who really cares about hair loss, who's kind of an expert on hair loss. How can you not be when you're arguably in the top 10 most popular YouTube hair loss guys that exist? But imagine the irony. Do I actually care about the subject of hair loss? It's something I now know a lot about, and I'm able to authentically help a lot of guys psychologically overcome it. But it's not something I actually value. Something I do value is my ability to make money. You know, what I want you to think of right now is, when you think of your own identity and what really matters to your identity, if you were to think of things that define you, what give you value and purpose, and what you're good at, things you care about. One of those things, and I'm not ashamed to say that, I don't think it makes me a greedy guy at all to say this, I care a whole lot about my ability to make money. Now here's what I don't care about. Being rich. That's garbage. You know, if you're wanting to be rich, then you're probably the kind of person who, once you get that money, are going to start spending on expensive cars and a big house, and then you're just going to have higher overhead and pay more payments and more insurance and all that. You've seen the car I drive. It's an old Honda. The thing's falling apart, but it's still running. No car payments made. My wife's car paid off. We have no debts, just our home, and we're investing money. So as far as this concept of being rich, not in a superficial sense, but the idea of making money and finding creative ways to make money, I have a lot of value for that. And I like being around people who can teach me about how to make money. And I like teaching other people about how to make money. And as silly as it may seem, for a guy who makes good money in the HR industry, I still make a good amount of money, thousands of dollars just from YouTube. But some of my other side revenues, I make a lot more than just YouTube. But I understand that year to year, sometimes they can double, maybe even triple. So I'm committed to this thing. But what I'm wanting to express to you is, it's easy to get caught up in the character I play in all these videos. And I authentically love helping other people. I authentically love mentoring other people. But ultimately, I'm a guy who's really focused on making money. I've been in situations in my life, hard times in my life, where I felt out of control as far as helpless and no control of the situation as my ability to make money. And Like, I've lived through that. I've survived that. My wife and I both did. And once we survived through that and built back from that, I mean, we had like $11,000 in savings. We made some decisions we shouldn't have. We lost all the money. We started over. Then at that point in life, started having kids. So the discipline it took to get through all of that to get where we are today and to have all the money we have today. And I will say this, and not in a cheesy #blessed sort of way, but everything I have, I believe God has given me. But it's a matter of, and there's in the Bible it talks about the talents, that certain people were given a certain basically amount of money to invest, and then at the end of the life it would be evaluated what they did with what they were given, even if it were a little bit or a lot. And I feel very aware of that parable in the Bible, that story in the Bible, that it's important for me to be grateful for what I have, but to not take it for granted and to try to invest that, because the more I'm able to grow my income and investments, the more I can help other people. Something you might need to know about me, and it doesn't come up a lot in my videos, but I am a Christian, and to the point that we tithe our income. And if you're not familiar with that word, basically roughly 10% of our income goes to the church. And from our church, a lot of it goes to helping people in Africa that don't have access to clean water, helping couples who can't have children biologically to adopt, because it costs at least $10,000 to adopt, from other countries like Haiti and China, for example. So arguably 10% of our money goes to help people who are less fortunate, and that is filtered through our church. So it's a matter of the more money we make, the more money that we can share that wealth and help other people as well. So it is true that something that I have a lot of value for is being in control of making money, being creative and finding ways to make money. And not for the sake of, look at me, look at I'm rich. But that's something that's very much a part of my value system. Hair, it's just not enough of my identity for me to actually care about it. But I learned that, well, let's combine the two. There's a demand, there's thousands of people who need confidence lessons from the hitch of hair loss, and I can make money doing it. I can help, and I can make money. It's perfect for a guy like me. That's the truth. How do you feel about the truth? Comments right here.